But there were simply too many cultivators, and with the mist surging everywhere, even after sweeping his gaze across the area, nothing could be found. From within the fog, the cultivators of the Green Devil continent came howling forward. Most striking of all were the two mid-void Tribulation elders. Their cultivation soared to the heavens. As they advanced, the mist suddenly recoiled as though unwilling to draw near. A mid-void Tribulation cultivator was enough to dominate an entire region of the immortal firmament continent, sustaining a medium-level sect. Even within the 9 sects and 13 schools, such figures were rare, ranking as distinguished elders. Cultivators who reached mid-void Tribulation were nearly impossible to kill. Each carried countless means of survival and profound divine arts. The two elders from the Green Devil continent, one surnamed Zhang, the other surnamed Zhao, belonged to different demon sects of that land. Their clash shook the heavens. In a surge of rolling mist, Lu Wenran transformed into a rainbow streak, charging toward the elders surnamed Zhang, and the battle ignited. Thunderous booms rolled through heaven and earth, sending waves rippling outwards. Fierce winds swept in every direction, forcing nearby cultivators to retreat, unable to approach the battlefield. The elder surnamed Zhao stepped forward, preparing to join the fray and crush Lu Wenran in one decisive strike. To him, once Lu Wenran fell, the rest of the cultivators here posed no threat. But in that instant, Yin Luan, Su Dongda, and another early void Tribulation cultivator from a nearby sect streaked in like rainbows, blocking Zhao's path. The three joined forces against him. Anywhere else, even combined, the three would never have stood a chance against a mid-void Tribulation cultivator. The gulf between stages was immense, like the chasm between heaven and earth. Even Wang Lin, when he possessed 7 origins, had strained every divine art just to battle an early void Tribulation opponent. Now, with 8 origins, he still could only contend with the early stage, powerless against the mid-stage. Yet within the formation of the Heavenly Ox lair on the extreme heaven grasslands, the mist that seeped into their bodies altered the balance. Yin Luan and his companions could just barely hold their ground against Zhao. They could not win, but they could stall him. 4 against 2. Enough to keep the mid-void Tribulation elders from unleashing their true terror upon the battlefield. Among the remaining Green Devil continent cultivators, for early void Tribulation experts stood ready. 2 men and 2 women, richly dressed and of noble bearing. Yet even they now faced their own obstacle. On the Heavenly Bull continent, 3 early void Tribulation elders from nearby sects had appeared. Empowered by the mist, their divine arts seemed boundless. The clash between the 3 and the 4 Green Devil cultivators shook the skies, marking the first true battle among void Tribulation cultivators. Then the masses of cultivators surged into combat. The slaughter descended into chaos. 20,000 men and women clashed within the choking mist, their roars blending with screams of agony. Within the haze, Wang Lin drifted like a specter. Head lowered, he carried a compass plate in hand. Upon it, countless white and green dots flickered, reflecting every change within this place. All around, spells flared then vanished into the mist, yet the killing intent and bone-deep chill could not be concealed. As he walked, Wang Lin suddenly lifted his right hand and pointed sharply into the fog to his side. A flash of blood-red light erupted. The blood sword streaked forth with a murderous aura. At that moment, a Green Devil cultivator emerged from the mist. Before he could even react, his body shuddered, his forehead split open, and the blood sword pierced straight through him. Unmoved, Wang Lin strode onward. His goal was not these ordinary Green Devil cultivators, but the distant void Tribulation powerhouses. His pace quickened, his figure blurring. Around him, black mist swirled, distinct from the Heavenly Ox formation's fog. Within it, a scarlet tongue flicked out now and again, brimming with ferocity. As he neared the 7 early void Tribulation cultivators locked in battle, Wang Lin slowed, finally stopping thousands of feet away. He stood silently, eyes flickering with cold light. To kill an early void Tribulation cultivator, it's no easy feat. Such men are almost impossible to slay. Even with the EC puppet, it isn't enough. Wang Lin knew well the terror of those who had endured 9 profound tribulations and truly stepped into the void Tribulation stage. They were nothing like the cultivators he had slain back in the alchemy sea, Qian and the others beneath those. These 3 men's cultivation was only at the 9th cycle of the profound tribulation. Though it looked as if they were infinitely close to the void cataclysm, in truth, the gap was immense. With the strength of just 2 of them combined, they could defeat the White Tiger trio, even forcing them to retreat under certain conditions. After all, the cultivation of the White Tiger trio was roughly on par with Du Qing, around the 7th or 8th cycle of the profound tribulation. Within the abode realm, only old Ghost John and the 7-colored Taoist truly possessed the cultivation of the early void tribulation stage. If the 2 of them merged with the 3rd soul to become the 7-colored immortal venerable, their cultivation would soar to the peak of the mid-void tribulation stage. Below the void cataclysm, Wang Lin's current cultivation was enough to kill with ease. But against a true early void tribulation cultivator, some special methods were necessary. Even on the immortal firmament continent, the death of a void tribulation cultivator was exceedingly rare. If it happened, it would greatly shake morale and deal a heavy blow to a sect. The death of a mid-void tribulation cultivator, even for the Great Soul sect, would be a calamity too bitter to endure. Far in the distance, several thousand feet away, the mist churned violently. Within it, 7 figures were locked in a brutal life-and-death struggle. Victory was impossible to decide. In truth, none of them were likely to die. So long as they were cautious, the worst outcome would be severe injuries. But Wang Lin was in no rush. He sat cross-legged, his body shrouded in black mist that merged seamlessly with the surrounding fog, making him nearly impossible to detect. The clash of 7 early void tribulation cultivators stirred heaven and earth, creating thunderous tremors. Anyone who approached would be in grave danger, anyone but Wang Lin. He waited calmly, watching, biding his time. He was waiting for a single opportunity to kill an early void tribulation cultivator in one strike. EC can be used as a heavy blow. The blood sword can wound. The soul subjugation seal can block an escape. Multiple illusion arts can create an opening. But in the end, the final killing strike must rely on soul summoning return. Yet with only these, I can at most heavily injure a void tribulation supreme. To kill outright, I still lack something. Wang Lin's eyes glimmered coldly as he stared into the fog. Time passed. Hours slipped by. The sounds of slaughter around him did not lessen. Instead, they grew more intense. The death toll on both sides mounted. Yet Wang Lin remained cross-legged, still waiting. Lu Ziyuan, an elder of the Dao Demon sect from the Green Devil continent, had only recently stepped into the early void tribulation stage. His name was already renowned within the sect, and as a direct descendant of the sect master, he carried the weight of bloodline prestige. Now he had joined this great invasion of the Heavenly Bull continent. Together with fellow elder Su Wei and 2 allies from other sects, he fought against 3 cultivators of the Heavenly Bull continent, each also at the early void tribulation stage. Their opponents seemed inexhaustible, unleashing one divine art after another. But Lu Ziyuan's group, hindered by the mist that suppressed divine sense and cut off replenishment, began to falter after several hours. Signs of retreat became apparent. The chaotic clash of 7 cultivators shook the heavens. Lu Ziyuan, still unaccustomed to the void cataclysm's power, was running dry of immortal power. Worse, the mist drained his strength relentlessly. Damn this fog. When will the emissaries arrive? At this rate, we cannot win. Lu Ziyuan's face darkened. His right hand formed a seal, conjuring a black lotus that collided violently with a black dragon conjured by his heavenly bull opponent. The impact thundered. Lu Ziyuan retreated without hesitation. His 3 companions instantly understood his intent. They surged forward to block incoming divine arts, buying him time to fall back and swallow recovery pills. After hours of battle, replenishment was unavoidable, or their endurance would collapse. Lu Ziyuan's expression was vicious. His cultivation relied on the dual cultivation of yin and yang, condensing the yin souls of female cauldrons into black lotus manifestations. The number of cauldrons that had perished in his hands was beyond count. Now retreating thousands of feet, he raised his hand and clawed at the void. In an instant, more than 10 black orbs appeared in his grasp. Inside each sphere sat a 3-inch tall naked woman, cross-legged, her face twisted in anguish. Lu Ziyuan did not even glance at them. He opened his mouth wide, preparing to devour them in a single breath. But at that very moment, Wang Lin, who had concealed his presence all along, not far from him, suddenly opened his eyes. A cold, piercing light shot forth. He had waited a long time for this chance. Finally, someone had presented him with the opening he needed. He's the one. Murderous intent burned in Wang Lin's eyes. He had promised the Great Soul Sect to kill 10 early Void Tribulation Venerables. Today, he would claim the first. In a flash, his body shot forward like lightning. A streak of blood-colored light flared in his hand, the blood sword, slashing toward Lu Ziyuan's unguarded back. The edge of the blood sword was unmatched. It howled as it cut through the air, closing the distance in an instant. Just as Lu Ziyuan was about to devour the dozen orbs, his hair stood on end. A crushing sense of crisis surged through him. Without thinking, he abandoned his feast, whipping his sleeve behind him. A massive black lotus bloomed in midair, colliding head-on with the roaring blood. A thunderous roar shook the heavens. Amidst the deafening explosion, Lu Ziyuan snapped around, his eyes flashing with killing intent. I want to see who dares to launch a sneak attack against me. But at the very instant he turned, Wang Lin struck. Everything happened as swift as lightning. The hundreds of feet separating them were nothing for EC. In the blink of an eye, the puppet surged forth, carried by a sweeping black mist, closing in on Lu Ziyuan just as he turned. Lu Ziyuan's expression shifted. He clearly sensed within that black mist the aura of an early Void Tribulation stage cultivator. His eyes widened in shock as he recognized the puppet for what it was. Without a thought, he retreated sharply, sweeping his wide sleeve forward. 7 black lotuses materialized before him, colliding with EC. The explosions boomed across the battlefield, shaking the earth. The clash drew the attention of the 6 battling cultivators thousands of feet away. The 3 who fought alongside Lu Ziyuan turned pale and tried to rush over, but were blocked by the 3 cultivators of the Heavenly Bull Continent. At this moment, none of them could spare the effort to extend their divine sense to investigate. Yet this turn of events was clearly to Wang Lin's advantage. The 7 black lotuses shattered. EC let out a roar, its body torn with wounds, yet its tongue pierced through the collapsing lotus phantoms like a blade. It struck Lu Ziyuan squarely in the chest. Blood spurted as pain seared his chest. He had no time to assess the wound. His immortal power was already nearly exhausted, further drained by the strange absorption of the mist. The forced summoning of 7 lotuses had left him at the brink of collapse. He stumbled backward, his right hand lifting as a dark orb of light appeared, ready to be consumed in desperation. At that moment, Wang Lin raised his right hand, unfurling a great white sail. With a sudden sweep, ghostly cries echoed around them, resonating directly within Lu Ziyuan's injured mind. In his consciousness, the blurred figure of a woman in white appeared, her back turned to him, quietly weeping. The image froze him. The dark orb in his hand faltered. In that instant of hesitation, Wang Lin advanced, palm raised. His 5 fingers pressed toward the heavens, and the surrounding mist surged violently. A massive palm print formed above Lu Ziyuan and descended with a thunderous crash. At the same time, a blaze flared behind him. A fiery palm ignited from the mist, burning straight toward his back. This sequence unfolded in the span of a breath, the culmination of countless simulations Wang Lin had calculated in his mind. As the palm strikes converged, the image of the crying woman in his mind grew sharper. EC, previously blasted away, roared once more and charged frantically. The shattered blood sword flared again, its crimson light surging like a tidal wave as it transformed into a massive sword beam, slashing down toward Lu Ziyuan. One after another, devastating divine arts closed in, timed to strike just as Lu Ziyuan's immortal power had been depleted. Yet killing a cultivator of the early Void Tribulation stage was no simple matter. Wang Lin's timing had been masterful, but as the attacks crashed down, Lu Ziyuan's pupils shrank. Without hesitation, he bit through his tongue, spitting a mouthful of blood essence. The blood instantly spread, transforming into a suit of blood armor that enveloped his entire body. Even his hair turned crimson, his skin a grotesque shade of blood. His whole body became a figure of living blood. arms spread wide. He let out a furious roar. Blood, armor, tremor. At his words, the blood covering his body dried in an instant, hardening into armor. Then, as he flung his arms open, the blood armor detonated, erupting into a storm of scarlet energy that swept in every direction. The colossal palm above him shattered the moment it touched the storm. The flaming palm behind him crumbled as well, bursting apart under the roar of crimson winds. The blood sword flashed, striking the storm, while EC hurled itself inside, screaming as it plunged into the maelstrom. Everything converged in an earth-shattering detonation. As the roar echoed, Wang Lin's figure blurred forward, charging straight into the bloodstorm. This blood armor tremor was clearly Lu Xuan's life-preserving divine art, shielding him against Wang Lin's barrage. But the storm already showed signs of distortion, on the verge of collapse. Inside, Lu Xuan spat blood, his face twisted in ferocity as he staggered backward. Yet as he retreated, his bloodshot eyes locked on Wang Lin, only to find Wang Lin vanish without a trace mid-stride. His pupils contracted sharply. Whipping around, he thrust his palm toward the space behind him. But there, Wang Lin's figure materialized, his fist crashing forward. This punch carried no Dao Ancient Phantom, yet it was the Dao Ancient Fist itself. With a deafening crack, Lu Xuan's right arm splintered, flesh mangled as he was blasted back like a falling rainbow. Blood trailed from Wang Lin's lips, but he did not falter. He stepped forward again. The booming roars echoed as Wang Lin's body flickered forward in relentless pursuit. In a single breath, he unleashed 19 consecutive punches. Lu Xuan's face turned deathly pale, his eyes wide with horror. Wang Lin's assault was far too ferocious, leaving him no chance to react. Each blow landed heavy, blood erupting across his body, painting him into a ghastly sight. "This little trick won't kill me," Lu Xuan snarled. Yet deep down, he understood with chilling clarity. This was a life-and-death tribulation, one of the rarest he had ever faced. His opponent had chosen this moment with calculated precision. This was no sudden attack. It had been prepared long in advance. As he staggered back, enduring yet another crushing punch, the black lotus blooming before him shattered. In that instant, his left hand swung up, and a black bell appeared in his grasp. It was the first time in this battle against Wang Lin that Lu Xuan had managed to draw a treasure. And not just any treasure. This was his most powerful one. As the bell swayed in his hand, it released crisp, piercing chimes. At once, the tolling sound rippled outward, summoning a flood of ghastly female phantoms around him. Each was naked, their expressions twisted in sorrow and rage, their wails filled with boundless resentment. They multiplied endlessly, numbering in the hundreds of thousands, overlapping one upon another. Their collective grievance surged into the heavens, a storm of hatred that swept across the extreme heaven grasslands, felt vividly by every cultivator locked in battle. The 6 early Void Tribulation cultivators clashing nearby fought on even more desperately. They sensed the surge of power, their divine sense probing to investigate. Yet the mist still restricted them, blinding their vision. The 3 cultivators from the Green Devil continent, however, recognized the power instantly. They knew this was Lu Xuan's infamous treasure, and for him to reveal it meant only one thing. He was facing a foe who threatened his very life. Even the mid-Void Tribulation Elder from the Green Devil continent, who was locked in combat with Yen Luan, and the Zhang clansman battling Lu Wenran, both reacted with grim surprise. Yet like the others, their divine sense was blocked by the haze and could not reach Lu Xuan's battlefield. Lu Wenran's eyes flashed as his divine sense spread out, but he too was thwarted. An unseen barrier veiled Lu Xuan's battleground, blurring all vision of the opponent he faced. Yen Luan and the others fared no better. Amid the storm of resentful souls, Wang Lin's pupils contracted. He had come well prepared, and so far, he had only revealed a fraction of his true strength. His 2 deadliest killing moves remained untouched. Without hesitation, his right hand shot upward, pointing to the sky. At his fingertip, a gourd appeared. Inside it resided 30 million soul fragments, enough, if detonated, to threaten even a mid-Void Tribulation cultivator. But Wang Lin did not detonate it. Instead, He spat a mouthful of fresh blood into the gourd. The blood vanished instantly within, and from the gourd's mouth erupted a storm of ghostly wails. Countless soul fragments poured out, swirling behind Wang Lin, weaving themselves into a crimson path of blood. With my essence blood, I summon the heroic spirits of the great soul sect's ancestors from ages past. Soul, illusion, return. Wang Lin's words were calm, yet carried an uncanny force. At the end of the blood path, a massive vortex slowly emerged, blending with the surrounding mist, exuding a chilling aura. From within that vortex, as Wang Lin spoke, a towering blood-colored figure began to step out, one slow stride at a time. Each footfall thundered through the heavens and earth. The overwhelming resentment stirred by Lu Ziyuan's black bell treasure faltered at once under the pressure of this advancing figure, collapsing on the verge of breaking apart. Lu Ziyuan's expression changed drastically. He quickly formed hand seals and thrust his finger skyward. At his command, the resentment condensed into a colossal figure of a woman, her body composed of over 100,000 vengeful spirits, each twisted face wailing across her form. The phantom woman opened her cavernous mouth in a feral roar, hurling herself toward Wang Lin in a vicious attempt to devour him. Yet at that very moment, from within the blood path's vortex, the figure of the ninth ancestor Luo Yunhai of the great soul sect strode forth. His right hand lifted, and with it surged a killing intent that shook the heavens. It coalesced into a crimson long spear, which he grasped firmly. With a single mighty swing, he hurled it forward. The spear howled through the air and crashed into the massive phantom made of countless vengeful souls. Upon impact, the spear erupted with purifying radiance. Like a divine command, its light unraveled the phantom instantly. The countless wailing spirits shrieked as they were torn apart and scattered. The resulting explosion shook heaven and earth. Wang Lin's body trembled violently. Blood sprayed from his lips as he was hurled back 100 yards. The blood path behind him collapsed, and with it, the figure of Luo Yunhai vanished. But so too did the massive phantom of vengeful souls. Lu Ziyuan's body erupted in torrents of blood as a piercing scream tore from his throat, forcing him. The collapsing shadow of vengeful spirits suddenly split apart, transforming into countless phantoms. Like a backlash, they surged into Lu Ziyuan's body, drilling through him ceaselessly. His screams turned shrill with agony as he staggered backward in madness. Though gravely wounded, he was not yet dead. No longer caring for the battle, he turned desperately to flee. Divine Tremor, Soldier Formation Array. Demonic Art, Beacon Flames form a mountain. Devil Dao, reverse the cycle of life and death. Divine, Demon, Devil. Gu Dao, no immortal. Wang Lin locked his gaze on the retreating Lu Ziyuan and unleashed a thunderous Dao ancient fist. Lu Ziyuan's head was torn away by an immense force, hurled straight toward Wang Lin. Wang Lin caught it in one hand, then vanished without a trace. The moment he disappeared, the battlefield fell into sudden silence. Lu Ziyuan's last piercing wail before death echoed across the heavens. The Zhang Elder of Green Devil Continent, locked in combat with Lu Wenran, shuddered violently. Ignoring Lu Wenran before him, he staggered backward, his face pale. Lu Wenran's eyes narrowed. He too had heard that soul-rending scream. Avoid Tribulation cultivator has fallen. Lu Ziyuan. The Zhang Elder retreated at full speed, arriving in moments at the site of Lu Ziyuan's death. Seeing the mangled remains scattered across the ground, his pupils contracted sharply. He knew well Lu Ziyuan's ties to the Dao Demon Sect's sect master. Witnessing his death left his mind reeling. At the same time, the Zhao Elder, who had been fighting against Yin Luan and his two companions, also abandoned his clash and rushed away. While Yin Luan's group froze for a breath at that scream, the Zhao Elder reached the scene. Lu Ziyuan is dead. The three Green Devil Continent cultivators at the early Void Tribulation stage likewise fell back together. Their faces went ashen, eyes brimming with disbelief. All across the extreme heaven grasslands, everyone who had heard Lu Ziyuan's final cry felt their hearts tremble, terror flashing in their eyes. A Void Tribulation cultivator has fallen. That voice, it sounded like Elder Lu. Impossible. Yet a void tribulation cultivator has truly died. The uproar spread instantly. Deaths among void tribulation cultivators were exceedingly rare. Retreat. The Zhang elder's eyes gleamed coldly. With a sweep of his sleeve, his divine sense surged outward, and in the blink of an eye, he turned into a streak of rainbow light, vanishing into the distance. His followers immediately trailed behind. Lu Wenran did not give chase. He stared at their departing figures, his face clouded with thought. The one who died must have held great status. But who killed him? Su Dongda swept his gaze around the battlefield, brows furrowed. He did not know who had struck down the void tribulation cultivator, but his heart trembled in shock. To kill one in such a short span, who could it be? Only Yin Luan's pupils contracted sharply. She had faintly perceived the truth, and the right hand hidden in her sleeve trembled slightly. It was him. As the void tribulation cultivators retreated, the remaining several thousand cultivators of Green Devil Continent fled in terror, scattering swiftly into the distance. Return to the underground palace and fortify our defenses. They will strike again. Hold within the mist. Do not pursue. Lu Wenran commanded coldly, his eyes sweeping across the field. Who could it be? He muttered, stepping forward and sinking into the earth. One after another, the Heavenly Bull Continent cultivators within the mist followed suit, disappearing into the ground. Beneath the extreme heaven grasslands, in the underground palace, fewer than 4,000 cultivators returned out of nearly 10,000 who had gone out. They were silent, slipping back into their cave mansions to prepare for the next battle. Wang Lin returned with them. His face was pale. Though the fight with Lu Ziyuan had not lasted long, it had been one of his most arduous battles. He had calculated everything. The order of his strikes, Lu Ziyuan's reactions, seizing the chance when his immortal power was exhausted, and using the mist formation to his advantage. Only by stacking these conditions together had he slain Lu Ziyuan. Yet even so, Wang Lin himself was injured, his chest racked with waves of searing pain. He needed to heal quickly. This is the first void tribulation cultivator I've slain. Killing one is unbelievably difficult. Wang Lin sat in silence. Without the Heavenly Bull formation, it might not have been possible. No one suspected it had been Wang Lin. He had foreseen this. When he struck, he deliberately contracted the seal compass to lock down the battlefield around himself and Lu Ziyuan. With that formation restricting divine sense, even if others tried to probe inside, all they would perceive was a blur. Even the soul summoning return, which invoked the ninth ancestor Luo Yunhai of the Great Soul Sect, could not reveal much from beyond the seal. Wang Lin carried too many secrets, and many of his methods were not things he wished exposed. That was why he had used the restriction seal, to keep prying eyes from seeing too clearly. At this moment, within the underground palace, countless speculations surged in the minds of every cultivator present. They all tried to figure out who it was that killed an opponent who was a void tribulation supreme. Inside the grand hall of the palace, Lu Wenran and Yin Luan, along with 5 other void tribulation cultivators, sat in silence. Beside them were 3 elderly figures, the same ones who had previously looked down on Wang Lin. These 3 elders now wore expressions of shock. Clearly, they found it hard to believe that one of their own had killed a void tribulation supreme from the opposing side. If it had been Lu Wenran's doing, they could accept it. Even if it had been one of the other void tribulation cultivators here, they could understand it. But clearly, the person who killed the supreme from the Green Demon Continent was none of them. So who was it? I didn't see clearly. During the battle, the Lu surname cultivator retreated as if to consume some elixir to replenish his immortal power, and then the sound of fighting came from there. I also scanned the area with my divine sense, but there was a restriction in place. When my divine sense entered, everything became blurry, and I couldn't make sense of it. I also attempted to probe with my divine sense, but found nothing. The 3 void tribulation cultivators from nearby sects spoke slowly, their faces filled with confusion and caution. They were puzzled as to who had killed the other, but more so, they were wary of how someone could kill a cultivator of the same rank in such a short time. What level of cultivation would be required to accomplish that? Having survived 9 profound tribulations and stepping into the true void tribulation, cultivators of this stage were, in a sense, immortal. Immortal in their longevity, living nearly as long as the heavens and earth, and indestructible, nearly impossible to kill. Who could it be? One of the elders who had previously looked down on Wang Lin, but had not reached the void Tribulation himself, murmured. It seems there is a hidden powerhouse among the outside cultivators. Lu Wenran's gaze swept across the group, and he didn't believe any of them could have killed a fellow cultivator of the same level so quickly. As his eyes scanned the room, he suddenly thought of someone. His pupils constricted, but he quickly dismissed the idea as absurd. It can't be him. He couldn't have done it. Lu Wenran thought of Wang Lin. All right, since this person doesn't wish to reveal themselves, let's stop searching. In the end, this is a good thing for us. Who knows, this person might show themselves soon. Lu Wenran's expression darkened. What disturbed him was that something had occurred in the third layer he was guarding, something that even he couldn't detect. This stirred some unease within him. Could it be that the one who struck isn't here, but simply passed by during the chaotic battle? Su Dicai furrowed his brow and suddenly spoke. At his words, everyone fell silent, thinking deeply. Lu Wenran paused for a moment, then carefully considered the idea. He felt that this possibility was quite likely, as he didn't believe anyone else here, apart from himself, had the ability to do such a thing. At the same time, a similar scene was unfolding outside the heavenly bull mist on the extreme heaven grasslands. Thousands of cultivators from the green demon continent sat in silent meditation at the edge of the prairie. In the center, two mid-void tribulation elders took the lead, conducting an inquiry regarding the death of Lu Ziyuan. Even though cultivators from the green demon continent and heavenly bull continent have fought before, and void tribulation cultivators have died, this is the first time we've seen someone die and not know who killed them. The elder with the surname Zhang's face darkened with fury, his heart filled with shock. He couldn't help but wonder how the Dao Demon Sect's sect master, who had been in seclusion, would react when they learned of this. Regarding Elder Lu's identity, one of the cultivators who had fought alongside Lu Ziyuan began to speak in a low voice, but didn't finish. Put aside his identity for now. Think carefully again. How could something like this happen in such a short time? The elder with the surname Zhao sighed and slowly spoke. Elder Lu retreated to consume an elixir, and we were blocked by the mist, unable to see clearly. But shortly after, the sounds of fighting came, and within less than an incense stick's time, the battle was over. My divine sense couldn't penetrate due to the restriction. However, I did notice that Elder Lu took out a magic artifact and began gathering countless resentful spirits. The group began recounting the events as they remembered them. Elder Zhao, I've made a discovery. Suddenly, a woman who had been silent until now spoke up. This woman was also one of the cultivators who had fought alongside Lu Ziyuan against the 3 void tribulation cultivators from the heavenly bull continent. She hesitated for a moment before speaking, and when the elder Zhao looked at her, her silver teeth clenched. Besides the heavenly bull mist, there was another restriction that blocked our divine sense. This restriction, it must be the Dao Demon Sect's void severing formation. I've encountered this formation before. There's no mistaking it. The moment these words were spoken, silence fell. Every gaze turned instantly toward the elder surnamed Zhao. That man was none other than a member of the Forbidden Demon Sect, one of the 3 great sects of the Green Devil continent. The spatial severing seal. I am neither skilled in it nor familiar with its workings. I truly did not notice anything. But now that you mention it, something comes to mind. Elder Zhao's eyes flickered as he spoke slowly. The Danhai tragedy. After my Forbidden Demon Sect's investigation, combined with reports from our hidden agents, the matter was traced to a certain Elder Wang Lin of the Great Soul Sect. Furthermore, within the Alchemy Sea, a seal compass of the spatial severing seal went missing. Yet according to the readings from our sect's central formation array, this compass was never destroyed. Elder Zhao raised his head, his gaze falling upon the distant depths of the extreme heaven grasslands. If this is true, then it's highly likely he was the one who killed Elder Lu. Even if he wasn't, he must be connected in some way. Wang Lin. A glint of murderous intent flashed in the eyes of the elder surnamed Zhang. He had to kill this man. Otherwise, he could never withstand the wrath of his sect master. On the battlefield itself, not a single corpse remained. The bodies and souls of the fallen cultivators had all been devoured by the dissipating mist, leaving the ground utterly clean, as though nothing had happened. Only the faint traces of blood lingering in the air bore witness to the massacre that had taken place in broad daylight. Moonlight touched only the surface of the earth. It could not pierce into the depths below, where an underground palace lay shrouded in darkness. Around one of its chambers, inside a silent cave mansion, Wang Lin sat cross-legged. The chamber was pitch black, no light at all, his figure swallowed in shadow as though he had merged with it entirely. Killing Lu Ziyuan had cost him dearly. From his careful planning to the decisive final strike, Wang Lin's complexion was now pale as he sat with closed eyes, practicing his breathing technique. No one knew how much time had passed when his eyes finally opened. A sharp gleam shot forth, like twin flames igniting in the darkness, terrifyingly bright. Now Wang Lin understood the true difficulty of killing a void tribulation cultivator. It was no less arduous than if others had tried to kill him. Lu Ziyuan had possessed many techniques and treasures, yet most had not even been unleashed. It was only Wang Lin's ruthless timing that had secured the kill. Had he hesitated, the outcome might have been very different. 10 at the early void tribulation stage, 3 at the mid stage. The task the Azure Ox Patriarch gave me is no small challenge. Wang Lin's silence was heavy. When he accepted the Patriarch's 3 conditions, he had already weighed the risks. The reason he agreed was simple. He could not bear to owe the weight of those 3 gifts. Take the water essence alone. That gift was equivalent to handing him an origin outright. If he had to comprehend and condense an origin on his own, its difficulty could be measured by the grueling process he had endured with the Thunderflame origin. Such a priceless gift left Wang Lin no room to refuse. The Space Stone as well, though outwardly ordinary, gave Wang Lin a vague sense that it was far from simple. Within it lay unfathomable mysteries of space. And the last gift, the chance to perform a calculated deduction at a crucial moment, could very well save his life, perhaps even turn the tide of heaven and earth itself. These 3 gifts were weighty beyond compare. Since he had accepted them, Wang Lin's nature demanded he repay them. 9 at the early void tribulation stage remain. If I can kill one, I can kill the rest. The greatest challenge lies with those 3 at the mid-stage. Even if I detonated the gourd holding 30 million soul fragments, it would only take one of them down. As for the other 2 mid-void tribulation venerables, Wang Lin frowned. But there was no retreat in his eyes, only a cold, unyielding light. The Azure Ox Patriarch likely believed I couldn't fulfill the conditions in a short time, that it would take me ages. But with this war between the Heavenly Ox and the Green Devil raging, I don't intend to linger. I must finish these 3 conditions as quickly as possible, cut all ties with the Great Soul Sect, and leave at once. His gaze dropped to the shadowy ground of his cave mansion, where thought after thought flashed through his mind. Suddenly, he lifted his head, eyes fixed on the entrance. His vision seemed to pierce straight through the sealed stone gate. Outside, the underground palace lay still and hushed. Only faint breaths could be heard. Dim light from scattered moonstones barely illuminated the surroundings. Out of that faint glow, a woman's phantom form drifted closer like wisps of smoke, halting outside Wang Lin's cave. She stood there, staring silently, hesitation clouding her expression. Just as she prepared to send out her divine sense, a calm voice floated from within the cave. Fellow Taoist Yin Luan, why linger outside at such an hour? Please, come in. As his words faded, the gate to the cave mansion opened noiselessly. A thin crack appeared, faintly glowing with dark light, its interior shrouded in from Yin Luan's vantage point. The crack in the cave mansion's gate looked like a gaping maw, ready to devour her heart, as though it had been waiting for her arrival. After a moment of silence, Yin Luan bit down on her silver teeth. Doubts gnawed at her. If unanswered, her heart could not rest. She took a step forward, her figure wavering like drifting smoke, and slipped into the fissure of the cave mansion's gate. The instant she entered, the massive gate slammed shut, leaving no trace of a gap. Inside, darkness pressed in on all sides. Unless one infused spiritual power into the eyes, everything seen with the naked eye was but a blur. Even so, she could faintly make out the seated silhouette of Wang Lin not far ahead. That figure radiated immense pressure, and she knew its source. The 2 wagers made within the Soul Repository Pavilion, whose lingering force weighed heavily upon her heart. As a woman, Yin Luan's sensitivity picked up a faint murderous aura in the air. It was not directed at her. Rather, it was the residual intent Wang Lin had released during slaughter, lingering about him as he cultivated. Only a cultivator could sense such traces. For reasons she could not explain, the moment she felt that killing aura, an image of Lu Xuan surfaced in her mind, the final moments before his death replaying vividly, as though etched in her pupils. She seemed to witness Wang Lin, in the span of mere breaths, slay Lu Xuan outright. Taoist Yin Luan, it is late into the night. You stand here in my cave mansion without a word. Do you intend to remain in silence until dawn? Wang Lin's calm voice emerged from the darkness, unhurried, without edge. That early void tribulation cultivator from the Green Devil continent. Was it you who killed him? Yin Luan's voice, soft and haunting, echoed through the cave mansion after a pause. It must have been you. In this underground palace, aside from Elder Lu Wenran, no one else could achieve such a feat in so short a time. If anyone could, it is you. Others may not know your strength, but I do. Her gaze fixed on Wang Lin's indistinct shadow in the dark, her voice low. Wang Lin, it was you, wasn't it? No comment. After a brief silence, Wang Lin finally spoke. His tone remained calm, utterly unchanged, as if he were speaking of something mundane. Hearing those 4 words, Yin Luan's lips curved slightly. She tucked a loose strand of hair behind her ear, her jade hand brushing her brow, and said softly, I don't know why you refuse to admit it, but your aura is unstable. You must have paid some price. After all, a void tribulation cultivator is not so easily killed. If you need an ally, I can help, provided we share equally the spoils gained from slaying another void tribulation cultivator. Forgive my intrusion, Elder Wang, but this is my sincerity, my token of goodwill. This was her true purpose for coming. When she finished, she placed a pill on the ground, bowed slightly toward Wang Lin, then slowly retreated. With a wave of her sleeve, a soft breeze swirled around the cave mansion's gate. The sealed door cracked open just enough, and her body, like smoke, slipped away and vanished. From beginning to end, Wang Lin had answered all her probing with only those 4 words, no comment. No more, no less. When Yin Luan finally departed, Wang Lin opened his eyes. 2 flames flickered within the darkness, burning like fire itself. He gazed at the closed gate, at the direction Yin Luan had taken, a brief moment of contemplation flashing across his eyes. Raising his right hand, he beckoned, and the pill flew into his palm. Examining it closely, he inhaled its refreshing fragrance. Clearly, it was an extraordinary medicine, meant for healing and cultivation. Slowly, a smile crept across Wang Lin's lips. Time flowed swiftly. Within 2 days, the cultivators of the Green Devil continent stationed at the edges of the extreme heaven grasslands remained unusually quiet. They launched no second assault, as though waiting for something. Each day, only a few dozen were sent to closely monitor the movements within the grasslands. The underground palace did the same, dispatching patrols daily. Minor skirmishes broke out from time to time, but no large-scale battles erupted. The patrols were assigned by the 3 elders, with Elder Zhou taking nearly full responsibility. All but the void tribulation cultivators could be sent out at any moment. Those not on patrol sat in meditation, practicing breathing techniques to keep their cultivation at its peak, ready for the next clash. The cultivators of the Heavenly Bull continent knew well that the Green Devil continent would not simply give up. Ordinary cultivators might remain indifferent, but Lu Wenran, the strongest here, sat within his palace with worry in his eyes. To him, all of this felt strange. He suspected the Green Devil continent's cultivators were awaiting reinforcements. If so, the underground palace would soon be thrown, and the question of who had slain that void tribulation cultivator lingered in Lu Wenran's mind for the past 2 days. One by one, he eliminated possible suspects, yet in the end, his suspicions circled back to his very first guess, Wang Lin. Although he did not truly believe Wang Lin possessed such ability, the matter was too grave to dismiss. After some silent deliberation, he summoned Elder Zhou, one of the 3 elders residing here. Having issued him a task, Lu Wenran watched as Elder Zhou bowed respectfully and departed from the cave mansion. 2 days passed, and by then much of Wang Lin's internal injuries had healed. At dusk on the second day, an unexpected visitor arrived at his cave mansion. Other than Yin Luan, this was the second guest, and an uninvited one at that. Taoist Wang Lin of the Great Soul Sect, the man called out. Tonight, I must ask you to abandon your meditation and patrol outside for the night. The speaker was none other than Elder Zhou, acting on Lu Wenron's orders. At this moment, standing outside Wang Lin's cave mansion, his expression was